There are some stories that sound too horrifying to be true. Stories people whisper only when the lights are on. Stories that leave a strange feeling in your chest long after you've heard them. This is one of those stories. And if you ever hear 3 knocks on your bedroom door at exactly 3:03 in the morning, don't answer. Because that is exactly how it started for Sarah. Sarah was 19 years old when she moved into her grandmother's old house. The house sat alone at the edge of a small town, surrounded by dead trees and a narrow dirt road that nobody used after sunset. Her grandmother had passed away 6 months earlier, leaving the property to Sarah. Everyone in town thought she would sell it. Instead, she decided to live there. The place was old, but it was free. And Sarah needed a fresh start. The first week was peaceful. Quiet.
Too quiet. No neighbors, no traffic, no sounds except the wind moving through the trees. But then, strange things began happening. Small things at first. Things easy to ignore. Cabinet doors she swore she had closed would be open in the morning. Pictures would be slightly tilted. A rocking chair on the porch would move even when there was no wind. Whenever she mentioned it to people in town, they would exchange uncomfortable glances, then quickly change the subject. It was as if nobody wanted to talk about the house or what had happened there. One rainy evening, Sarah decided to clean the attic. Dust covered everything. Old boxes, broken furniture, stacks of yellowed newspapers. As she searched through the clutter, she discovered a small wooden chest hidden beneath a blanket. The lock had rusted away.
Inside, she found old photographs. Most showed her grandmother when she was young. But one photograph caught her attention immediately. It showed a little girl, around 10 years old. Long black hair, pale skin, a white dress. She stood in front of the house, smiling. But something about the smile felt wrong. It looked forced, almost painful. On the back of the photograph were 3 words written in faded ink. Emily, age 10. Sarah had never heard of Emily before. That night, she called her mother. "Who was Emily?" she asked. Silence. Then her mother spoke softly. "Where did you hear that name?" "I found an old picture." Another long silence. "You shouldn't dig into that." "What do you mean?"
Her mother sighed. "Emily disappeared 50 years ago." Sarah sat upright. "What?" "She lived with your grandmother for a while." "Why?" "Nobody really knows." "Did they ever find her?" "No." The line went quiet. Then her mother said something that sent chills through Sarah's body. "Your grandmother used to say Emily never left." Sarah laughed nervously. She assumed it was just an old family legend. But later that night, as rain hammered against the windows, she heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks, coming from her bedroom door. Sarah looked at the clock. 3:03 a.m. Her heart skipped. She lived alone. There shouldn't have been anyone in the house. The knocking came again. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, deliberate, patient. Sarah grabbed her phone. "Who's there?" No answer. The knocking stopped. After several minutes,
She forced herself to open the door. The hallway was empty. Nothing. No one. She searched every room, locked every door, checked every window. Nothing.
Eventually, she convinced herself it was just the old house settling. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. The next morning, she noticed muddy footprints, small footprints, bare feet, leading down the hallway and ending directly outside her bedroom door. There were no footprints leading away, only toward it. That evening, Sarah visited the town library. She wanted answers. After hours of searching old newspaper archives, she found an article from 1975. The headline read, "Local Girl Vanishes Without a Trace. Emily Carter, age 10, missing. Last seen entering Sarah's grandmother's house. Witnesses claimed they heard screaming that night. Police investigated. No evidence was found. Case unsolved. Sarah felt sick. She kept reading. Then she discovered another article written weeks later. One sentence stood out. It read, "Several residents reported seeing a young girl standing in the upstairs window after Emily's disappearance. But Sarah's grandmother lived alone. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She locked her bedroom door, closed the curtains, left every light on. At exactly 3:03 a.m., the knocking returned, much louder. Bang, bang, bang. The entire door shook. Sarah nearly screamed. Then she heard a voice, a little girl's voice, soft, broken, whispering from the other side. Please let me in. Sarah froze. Tears filled her eyes. Who's there? Silence. Then the voice whispered again. I'm cold. A horrible scratching sound began moving across the door. Slowly, like fingernails dragging through wood. Sarah covered her ears. The scratching continued for almost 10 minutes, then suddenly stopped. The next morning, she found deep claw marks carved into the door. Marks that hadn't been there before. And in the center of the wood, someone had written a message. 3 words. He lied to me. Sarah decided to leave, pack her belongings, sell the house, forget everything. But before she could leave, she received a visitor, an elderly man named Walter, the oldest resident in town. When he heard she was living in the house, he asked to speak with her. The moment he entered, his face turned pale. I knew this place would wake up again. Sarah showed him the photograph. Walter nearly dropped it. Emily. You knew her? Walter nodded. Then he told Sarah something nobody else had ever told her. Emily wasn't simply a missing girl. She was murdered. Or at least everyone believed she was. Years earlier, Emily's parents died in a car accident. She was sent to live with Sarah's grandmother. But people in town noticed strange things afterward. Emily often appeared bruised, terrified, silent. Then one night, she disappeared. And Sarah's grandmother claimed she ran away. Nobody believed it. But there was never enough evidence to arrest anyone. Walter leaned closer. They searched everywhere. What happened? We never found a body. Sarah swallowed. Then Walter whispered. But we did hear her. Sarah's blood ran cold. Hear her?
Walter nodded. For years. He looked toward the hallway. Every night at 3:03. That evening, Sarah packed everything. She planned to leave before sunset. But as she carried boxes to her car, she noticed someone standing upstairs, looking out the window. A little girl. White dress. Black hair. Pale face. Emily. The moment Sarah looked up, the girl smiled, then disappeared. Sarah drove away. She didn't even lock the house. She stayed in a hotel 30 miles away. Finally safe. Or so she thought. At exactly 3:03 a.m., 3 knocks echoed from the hotel room door. Knock. 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 Sarah's blood turned to ice. She slowly approached the door, looked through the peephole. Nothing. The hallway was empty. Then, she noticed something terrifying. The little girl's face was staring back through the peephole. From the other side. Smiling. Sarah screamed and stumbled backward. When she looked again, the hallway was empty. But the knocking continued. Every night. No matter where she went. Every hotel. Every apartment. Every friend's house. At 3:03 a.m. 3 knocks. Always 3. Always followed by the whisper. Please let me in. Months passed. Sarah barely slept. She lost weight. Lost her job. Lost her sanity. Then one night, she finally answered. 3:03 a.m. 3 knocks. Sarah stood at the door shaking, tears streaming down her face. What do you want? She screamed. Silence. Then the little girl's voice answered. I want you to see. Sarah slowly opened the door. Nothing was there, but a trail of muddy footprints stretched down the hallway. She followed them, step by step, until they reached an abandoned building on the edge of town, an old well hidden behind overgrown weeds. The footprints stopped. Sarah looked inside and screamed. At the bottom of the well lay human bones, small bones, a child's skeleton, still wearing fragments of a white dress. Emily had been there all along. Police recovered the remains. DNA confirmed the identity. The town finally learned the truth. Emily had never run away. She had been murdered and hidden where nobody would ever find her. The case was officially closed. People believed the nightmare was over. But they were wrong. Because Emily wasn't the only thing hidden in that well. Among the bones, investigators found something else. A second skeleton. An adult. Buried beneath Emily. The remains belonged to Sarah's grandmother. Records showed she had died months earlier. Yet somehow, her body had been in that well for decades. Impossible. Completely impossible. And then, police made an even worse discovery. Sarah's grandmother had never owned the house. There was no record she had ever existed before the year Emily disappeared. No birth certificate, no childhood records, nothing. It was as though she appeared from nowhere. The town was horrified. But Sarah finally believed the nightmare was over. Emily had been found. Justice had been served. The knocking stopped. For a while. Then, exactly 1 year later, Sarah woke at 3:03 a.m. to silence. No knocking, no scratching, no whispering. Just silence. Relieved, she rolled over in bed and saw a little girl standing beside her. White dress, black hair, pale skin. Emily. The girl smiled gently. For the first time, she didn't look afraid. She looked grateful. Then she pointed toward the bedroom door. Slowly. Very slowly. Sarah turned her head, and her heart stopped. Because someone else was standing there. A tall woman with empty black eyes, smiling. The woman looked exactly like her grandmother. And as Sarah watched, the woman raised one finger, placed it against her lips, and whispered, "She was never the one you should have feared." The next morning, Sarah disappeared. No note, no phone, no trace. Nothing. Police searched for years, but they never found her. Just like Emily. And according to residents who still live near the old house, every now and then, at exactly 3:03 in the morning, 3 knocks echo through empty rooms, followed by the voice of a young woman whispering, "Please, don't let her in."